tougher challenge than the Golgari? Well, the Gruul like to fight, and some of them are even taller than you, and with a lot less patience. It's time to go grr with the Gruul.
So the Gruul Clans, which are all about red and green mana, are probably the guild least like a guild on Ravnica. And that's because the nature of red and green mana mean that they're sort of opposed to the whole idea of civilization. Now, that might make them seem like they have to work at the margins of Ravnica, but the Gruul Clans are quite powerful and have persisted for many millennia. All they have to do is wait for an area to weaken a little bit and move in. They'll use up that area's resources, and now it's Gruul territory. Once it runs out of resources, it's time for more conquering and more raiding and more destruction. Ravnica is such an ancient city, and it has so many layers upon layers of destroyed and rebuilt buildings that there's always places for the Gruul to call their own. In fact, Skarg, their sort of guild hall that's not really a guild hall, used to be a palace. No one even remembers whose palace it was. But this is a place where the Gruul clan leaders can come every so often and smash their beasts against each other, smash their heads against each other, see who the strongest is, and then convene and go back to their own territory.
I think what we try to do in getting Gruul across as to represent how savage they are. You'll notice in the artwork, they aren't static in their poses. They aren't defending or standing there trying to look pretty. They're smashing through stuff. There's rubble flying. They're charging towards you. And like this is a magic thing in general, but if things have teeth, they have big teeth.
So the Gruul guild leader, Borborygmos, is an enormous cyclops who has survived many, many challenges to his rule. Borborygmos has managed to hold on to power through basically sheer strength and grit.
For Borborygmos, we knew he was coming back, and I kept submitting all these designs, and they were always called Borborygmos Boulder Hurler. And he would always sacrifice a land and throw it at something. And we don't really like sacrificing lands. It's not very fun. So we came up with a newer version that discards a land card instead, which is a little more palatable. It doesn't put you quite so far behind. And it sort of evokes the traditional feeling of the Cyclops who takes a giant mountain or something and throws it at a ship.
So Borborygmos is definitely a guy I love. We experimented with a couple of different things in design, but development has made their own creature out of him. And it made me really excited to see him the first time because discarding land to just deal damage to people for free is super awesome. It reminds me of Seismic Assault from back in the day when I built a deck containing 4 Cursed Scroll, 4 Seismic Assault, and the rest of the deck was man land so that you could just hit your Cursed Scroll every time and control it with Seismic Assault. I almost qualified for Pro Tour with that deck, and it's very fun.
So of all the 5 mechanics in Gatecrash, the Gruul mechanic was actually the last mechanic that we finalized on. The trick about it was the Gruul are very simple folk. They like attacking and smashing, and we wanted to sort of capture the essence of the Gruul, but in a way that kind of had some complexity in play. So like a simple idea, but something that had some depth to it. And then we came up with the idea of Blood Rush, which was, imagine you had creatures that when you wanted them to be, they could be giant growths, essentially. Like Viashina Shanktail is a 3/1 first striker, but you could turn it into a spell that grants +3/+1 and first strike. And so the neat thing about it was it doubles. It's a creature, we need a creature. It's a spell, we need a spell. And that it gives you this nice sort of, it allows you to attack, but also has some choices. So it's sort of, viscery in your face, but also it has some subtlety in how you play it.
We were very flavor driven. What we wanted to try to convey was the mob mentality of these guys. And especially, we were enamored of the idea that when one of them engaged in battle, another one would just jump in and help out his friend and just wail on whoever he was fighting. So we came up with something that was originally called Ambush, which is now called Blood Rush, that conveys that. When your creature is attacking and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, another guy just jumps in and helps out.
When we were working on the concept illustrations for the Return to Ravnica and Gatecrash sets, one of the concept illustrators working on the Gruul was Alexei Briclo. Alexei showed us this drawing of a young, almost a child, who was part of the Gruul Clans and was commanding this sort of stampede of beasts. And that image really took hold for us. And we started talking about this wild child archetype. And someone at some point, I can't remember who, mentioned offhandedly, wow, could you imagine if that dude was a planeswalker? So meet Domri Raid.
Domri Raid is a red-green planeswalker, and he's all about creatures, which I love. I'm all about big green creatures. I'm all about planeswalkers that have the ability, target creature fights target other creature, because I think fighting is awesome. This guy's a 3-mana planeswalker. He comes out very early. His first ability draws you creatures, and his second ability makes them fight with other creatures. I think that's pretty awesome.
My fury, my freedom, my guild, Gruul. Won't you join us?